Dave Thomas, and today I am building the Solar Twirl model rocket kit from Estes. This is kind of unusual in that it has only two fins, which normally would not be very stable, but they're canted so that the rocket spins in flight. And this gives it the same ability to remain stable that you'd see in a rifled bullet. So it's the spinning that actually keeps the rocket stable. This is a beginner's kit and should go together fairly quickly. And we'll just open it up here and see what we've got. So first take out the instruction sheet. And this will have our parts list on it. Okay, so as this came out, so did the decal sheet there. Okay, we have a body tube and a second body tube there. That's right there. Okay. Down on the bottom here we've got the main part of the nose cone and the fins that also include an integral launch lug there. Alright, and then we've got a small parts package that should have everything else in it. Oh, that fell out. That's the other decal sheet. Alright, we've got a motor retainer. That's half of it. Alright, this is an engine spacer. This is a tool, not part of the kit itself. Alright, this is the base of the nose cone. This is a fin ring, so that goes on this. Alright, we've got two centering rings. Alright, and then we've got a coupler and the engine mount tube. Here's the other half of the motor retainer. Alright, the smaller ring here is the engine block or thrust ring. And then we've got an elastic shock cord and a parachute. Okay, so it looks like we have everything here. I'm going to clear most of this away and then we will get started. Our first task is to build the motor mount. And here we're going to need to measure the spacer tube here. Get my ruler. And we want a 1/4 inch from one end, or about 6 millimeters. So about right there. Now again, this isn't a part of the rocket. We're going to use this to properly space our thrust ring here. Alright, now I'm going to write on the inside of one end of my motor mount tube. I'm just going to write aft. Alright, and even if you can't see that there, I broke my lead. It's a reminder to me as to which end this is going to be. So this is going to be the rear of the rocket. Okay, and we need to put some glue about a 1/4 inch from the forward end. Now here you can use white glue or wood glue. I'm going to use white wood glue. Let's make sure I got the correct end. So we're going to put some glue in here about, okay, a 1/4 inch inside here. You can even go a little bit more, but not much. We don't want glops of glue going down inside here. Alright, now we're going to take our engine block or thrust ring. It's the smaller green one. That's going to go in the aft end, so opposite of where we had the glue. And then we're going to use the yellow spacer to push that up into the glue. Now, mine got a little crooked here. I need to straighten that out. Alright, here we go. Alright, so we're going to push that up just until we get to our mark. Okay, and that's pushing the glue ahead of it. I'm going to remove the excess glue, and I definitely don't want any going down in the motor tube itself, because that could cause your motor to jam, and we don't want any jam motors. Okay, and I'm going to quickly take this out so we don't accidentally glue it in. Okay, now we're going to measure from the aft end and put some glue on there as well. Now, just to show you what's going to go on, I'm just dry fitting this. So this is one of the centering rings here. And we want to put that over the aft end. Alright, now it's not wanting to go, so what you can do is kind of chamfer the edges here with your thumbnail. And this just removes the ridge that can form in the cutting process. Alright, you can come back here, try that again. Alright, that goes on much easier now. And then we're going to use this part of the engine retainer, so the male threaded part here. And that's going to be a spacer. So when we're going to put this on, we want that green ring to be right up against the engine retainer here while it is firmly against the inside of the tube. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and put our glue on here. Alright, and not as much as I put on the engine block, that was excessive. But you do want an even bead here. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and put my ring back on. Alright, and then there it is. Okay, use this as my guide and just pull that back off again. Alright, as we go to the next page, now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing up here. The other ring is going to be flush, so I'm just going to dry fit with that once more. So that's just going to go right to there. So we just need our bead of glue right below the forward edge there. My bottle's almost empty. Come on, just a little more. There we go. Alright, we'll slip that ring back on. And here we can just put it on a surface and push down. And just make sure we wipe up our glue mess. Alright, now we're going to let that dry for about 15 minutes before we put it into the body tube. While I'm waiting for the motor mount parts to dry, we're going to go ahead and assemble the nose cone. So we're going to skip down to this step here. And for this, we're going to need some tube type plastic cement, so the thicker kind, not the brush on kind. Alright, and here we're just going to run a bead of glue, not very heavy but even, all around the inside of that tube, the nose cone. Alright, then we're going to take the base and just put that in, and I'm just going to twist it back and forth a little bit here to evenly spread the glue and seat the two parts together. Alright, and then we'll allow that one to dry as well. Alright, still waiting on the motor mount, so I'm going to skip up to here. We can put the coupler into the rocket here. So the first thing I want to do is just measure the halfway point here. So this is a 1-inch coupler. So we're just going to make a little mark here at 1/2 inch. Okay, and then we're going to take one of our body tubes here. Alright, now I'm using a yellow glue because my white ran out, but it works just as well. Alright, so I'm going to put a bead of glue, again not really heavy but even, all the way around there. Alright, and then with a turning motion, I'm going to insert the coupler and gently turn it as we reach that halfway point there. Okay, I'm going to let that dry for about just 2 to 3 minutes. We just need it to hold in place, and then we'll put the other tube on. A few minutes have passed, and now I'm going to take the other body tube and give it the same treatment. Alright, so once again we're just going to run an even bead just inside the body tube there. And now we're going to join the two in the same manner. So I'm going to twist it a little bit. If you want, you can make the spirals line up, but it's not necessary. Okay, and first I'm just going to hold those for about a minute, and then we can set them down and they can finish drying. Our glue is dry enough that we can handle the pieces here. And so our next step is to put the motor mount into the body tube. Now we're going to do this a little bit different, because what the instructions show are to put a layer of glue inside here at about 2 inches, and another ring right inside the tube there. But the problem is, if you do it that way, when the first ring hits that first glue, most of it's going to get pushed forward, and there won't be a lot left down here to actually anchor this ring. So what we'll do here is I'm going to take an applicator. This is basically a long Q-tip. Alright. Okay. And we're going to measure from the tip, or the inside edge of this ring, back here to the outside edge of the aft ring there. We'll put glue on this, and then we're going to slide this in without touching anything until my thumbnail hits, and then I'm going to come up to the inside and just go all the way around there, and that will put my ring of glue on the inside there. Then I'm going to slide this in a little bit and then apply glue around here, and then slide it in all the way until that aft centering ring is flush with the body tube. And that way each of my rings will have its own complete set of glue there. Okay. So now we'll put this into practice. I'm going to open up my glue. Alright, and one more time take a measurement here. So put my thumbnail there. I'm going to get a blob of glue. Doesn't have to be quite that blobby. A little less blob. There we go. Alright, I'm going to run that up till my thumbnail hits. Bring it up to a surface and go all the way around there. Okay, insert this partially. And now get some more glue. And it's okay if you get a little glue on the outside of the motor mount there, it won't hurt it. Alright, I'm going to glue there and kind of shift that over and glue around. Shift that over, glue around, and meet that up. Okay, I'm going to push this one in to there. Alright, make that flush right there. Alright, and once more we need to wait about 10 minutes to let this dry so we can handle it again. While we're waiting for all that glue to dry again, I'm going to go ahead and assemble the parachute and tie it to the nose cone. Now, if you've seen my videos before, you know that I don't like permanently tying parachutes to nose cones, even though lots of people do. I prefer to use a snap swivel, and you can get these usually in the fishing areas of sporting goods and department stores. So I'm going to go ahead first of all and just open up my parachute here. Alright, now find all of the shroud line loops. There's one that goes across the middle and then one on each side. Gather these all on your finger here, and then I'm going to, with my other hand, find the center of the parachute, and I'm going to pull everything here and vary these line lengths back and forth until all the corners there come together, which they have. Alright, now I'm going to grab these loops here. If you want to do it the way the instructions show, you're going to pass those loops through the eyelet here on the nose cone. Open them up again here, so kind of pull this through. Some more there. Alright, and now you don't want to let those lines vary, so you can recheck yourself here. Alright, and I'm going to pinch down here, and then the idea is to pass the parachute through all three of these loops without getting them all tangled up. Alright, so then you would pass this through all the way, and I am not going to do the finish on this, Alright, but once you get that parachute all the way through, then you just pull everything tight and it will tie itself automatically down here onto the nose cone. Okay. Now again, I don't like to do that. I like to be able to replace my chutes easily or store my rockets without them, because they do get all crumpled up inside the rocket. It's not a big deal. Even when I do store them inside the rocket, I always take them out and fluff them out before I launch them. Right, so once again, I'm going to do just like I did for a permanent attachment. Right, and I'm going to find my center again, bring all my corners down. Okay, now this time I'm going to grab the loop up here. I'm going to pinch it down some more. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the latch on this. Alright, we're going to stick these loops through the swivel side, the round side of this, not the one that's got the snap clip on it. So we're going to pass those through here. Alright, and now I'm going to open those loops again. Alright, now here if you want, you can do another check and make sure your corners are still where they should be. Alright, I'm going to bring this back up toward my loops a bit, and I'm going to pass that entire snap swivel through my loops. I'm going to pull the loops down below it now and pull it tight, and that makes a nice neat little knot there. Recheck it. Alright, if it's moved significantly, you can loosen this up and try again. If you've got it where you want it though, I recommend putting just a little tiny dot of wood glue or white glue on that knot. Just a little teeny bit there, and that'll just keep it from undoing itself and changing your shroud line length. Okay, so what this does for me now is gives me a way to trade out parachutes quickly. Alright, so I can just open that clip it on, close it again, and that parachute's installed. The size of the snap swivel doesn't really matter in terms of the weight of the rocket, but the snap part does have to be big enough that it can move freely on the eyelet there. If it's binding sideways or something like that, you need a bigger clip. Okay, now theoretically, the swivel on this is supposed to keep your parachute from winding up as much, because it always does. In practice, it's marginal at best, because the swivels on these are not ball bearing or anything. Now we do, on high power rockets, I will use actual ball bearing swivels, and they do a better job of keeping the parachute untangled. Okay, so we can set both of these aside for the moment. I'm going to go ahead and unclip this, and once all that glue gets dry on the body tube, we'll start installing the shock cord and the rest of the rocket there. While we're waiting for the glue on the body tube and engine mount to finish drying, we're going to go ahead and assemble the fins here. Now what we need to do is put this ring onto the aft end here, the slightly larger end of this fin assembly, so that it mates together like that. Right, so here once again we're going to use the tube type plastic cement. Alright, and we're going to run this just on the inside. Now don't get this in the launch lug there. Okay, and then once you've got that in, we want to put in this ring. Alright, and I'm going to check make sure we don't have a lot of excess in there. A little bit's okay. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and take tissue and wipe that stuff out. Oop, took out the ring. There we go. Okay, and we actually want to mount this fairly quickly. Okay, and the glue is dry here. Alright, so they're not showing any glue on this. So it's just kind of sliding. I see what they're doing. So it's, Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pull that off. Since we cleaned it out, I'm going to let it dry that way. looks like we missed a step. Yep. Okay, so now we need to take our glue again. Now here I'm going to make a substitution. Alright, now this is going to have to fit over this. I just want to make sure it does. Yep. Okay, so they recommend using the tube type cement on this, but we're gluing it to cardboard. And when we're doing dissimilar materials, I actually prefer to use a gel type super glue like this. Alright, so here I'm going to put a bead of this around my motor mount. Set that down for just a minute. The other thing you can do here is take a little bit of sandpaper and just roughen the inside of this. It doesn't take very much. You just want to scratch it so the glue has something better to hold on to. Alright, then we're going to apply this on and just kind of twist it into place there. Alright, now that needs to dry, but I just want to test fit this. Okay, so it looks like what they're actually depending on is for the retainer ring there to hold on the fin assembly. Yep. Okay. So it would just go like that, and this, having that in place is what's going to hold the fins on. I don't like it. Okay, and I'll show you why. Alright, so here's our spacing tool again. This is the exact length of a motor. Okay, so that has to go in there. Alright, and so when you've got a motor in here, it doesn't always go all the way down to the bottom there. Oop, this is still wet, it's trying to get that off. Alright, so we got a gap there, and if there's nothing else holding this on, that's going to bounce around in there. We don't want that. Alright, but the takeaway is you're going to have a gap in there when a motor's actually in place the way it should be. Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm going to put a small bead of the plastic cement. Ah, criminy. Stuff is just leaking everywhere. Alright, small bead just inside here, not necessarily right at the edge. And again, avoid the launch lug there. Okay. Now carefully put that on. Okay, I'm going to quit doing that. Alright, and then we want everything to be in place. Alright, now we want this to completely dry. I've got a little glue on the threads there. Once that's completely dry, it won't make any difference. But don't try and put this on while it's still wet. The next thing we need to do is attach the shock cord. So the motor mount cord is here, and that's not going to be anything that we'll need later. But if you don't want to cut up your instructions, just make a photocopy and cut that out. Okay, and then we take the shock cord here, and I'll show you. Alright, so here's how they have us do it. Now, I'm going to do it just a little bit differently, because what they do is it folds the shock cord up directly upon itself, and so it makes a big lump there that can cause the parachute to hang up on that. Okay, an acquaintance of mine online showed me this little trick, which I really kind of like. So you take the end and you cut it lengthwise, about ½ an inch or so. So now it's in a fork, and if you want, you can make that a little bit bigger. Just don't accidentally cut them off. Okay. And I'm just going to make a line here all the way up. You're going to get a little messy on this one, so make sure you've got something over your work surface. Okay, so once again here, I'm going to take my forked end, put that here, and I'm going to spread those apart and kind of embed the rest of the shock cord in that glue. And now we're simply going to fold the one part here over onto the two. All right, and again, you can kind of do this by feel, keep those forked edges on either side. All right, and then we're going to roll that up into the three. Oops, I did that wrong. Surprise, surprise. All right, we need our forks up on the second part. Okay, try and center that. All right, now we're going to take the one, put that over the two, and the two over the three. All right, and the forks will be on either side of that now. Okay, and now we're going to bend this so it's got a curvature like this. And now we're going to apply some more glue to the outside surface of that curvature. All right, and you want this spread evenly but not dripping. Okay, and now we're going to put this in the forward end of our body tube here, and put that down as far as you can get it to go. At least 1.5 inches. Okay, and now what I'm doing is I'm pressing my finger against the anchor and against the body tube and against my other hand here. So we're squishing that as flat as we can get it. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this very readily. No, I just can't quite focus there. Okay, but that's down, it looks like about 2 inches. All right, so the further down you can get it, the less chance that you're going to hang up something like your parachute or your shock cord when it tries to eject. Okay, so that part can be drying. Now we can take our nose, and if you did the permanent attachment, you should have the parachute attached before you do this part, or the parachute's just going to get in the way. We're going to tie this on with a double knot, or 2 half hitches. All right, pull that good and tight from lots of different directions. Okay, now this free end here you want to cut back to about 6 millimeters, or about 1/4 inch, but not all the way to the knot. And so this way, if this were longer, it could get caught alongside the shoulder as we put this into the body tube, and we don't want that. Here, like I did with the parachute, I'm going to put on just a little dab of glue there and work that around the knot. And again, this will just help keep that knot from coming undone. And once again, we are going to wait for glue to dry. I'm still waiting for the shock cord mount to dry, but we can go ahead and apply the decals here. And so this is their suggested placement, where we've got the solar twirl decal down on the bottom half, and then that kind of neon rainbow one up here right where the nose attaches. You can do that. You can put them anywhere you want. You can use no decals. You can use different decals. This is your rocket. Do it your way. All right. Now, the biggest drawback to these types of decals is that once they stick, they don't come up without pulling up the paper. And you may be familiar with what I call the soapy water method, where you can take some dilute soapy water and stick the decal in that, and that temporarily makes it less sticky so you can reposition it easier. You can't do that on a non-painted rocket though. So this rocket is colored, but it's printed. The coloration does not provide any waterproofing. So if you do that method on this, you're going to get water damage to the body tube. Okay, so I do recommend you wash your hands really well to kind of minimize fingerprints. And then hold these by their very edges as much as you can. Now I am going to put the solar twirl here on the side without the launch lug. And I'm going to try and actually center it over the body tube here so you kind of hide that joint a little bit. And so now I just got to kind of eyeball it to see if I'm at least reasonably straight. I'm just going to tack it down there lightly. That looks pretty good. I think I'll go with that. So now I'm going to move from the middle outward, first going lengthwise here. Alright, then we kind of go around the circumference at the middle, and then go from the center outward to get the edges down. And this should minimize the amount of air that gets trapped as bubbles there. Okay, and nothing lasts forever. I will warn you that over time, as temperature and humidity changes, these may crinkle or buckle or get little air bubbles in them. Just kind of smooth them down as best you can before you launch. Alright, and then we've got this one, which I think is supposed to wrap all the way around here. Yeah, it looks like it'll do that. Here at least you've got the edge of the tube as a guide. And I'm removing the outside strip there. Just get it out of my way. Alright, I'm going to peel that back. Now here I'm going to start on the back side, so if there's any seam you don't notice it as much. Now this one you pretty much just get one shot at this. I'm going to again lightly tack that down. Yeah, I don't like that. Let's see if I can get it back up without causing damage. And tore up a little bit there. Hopefully we won't be very noticeable. Alright, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to start on this side and try to center it. You want to be right on the edge. In fact, if you want, you can overshoot the edge just a little bit. It's still just a mite crooked. And I'm actually going to go over the edge a little bit, because what I can do there is I can use my hobby knife to cut out that edge. Right, so we're going to go around this way, and then go around this way, and if we've done this really well, it'll meet up pretty close. All right, again, we're going to smooth that out to get the bubbles out. Now you can see here where I overlapped it, and this does need to be cut. You do not want to put the nose cone in the way it is now, or this could stick to it and prevent the ejection system from performing properly, and you end up with a big long dart. Alright, so here I'm just going to use my knife to shave away that. Careful that you don't cut the shot cord or your body tube. Alright, you don't necessarily have to get it all in one pass here. Alright, then they also include some Estes brand stickers there. They give you 3, so you'd think they give you 4, so you put 1 on each fin here, or each side of the fin. You put these wherever you want, or not put them on at all. So I think I'm just going to put mine about here. And I'm going to leave it at that. Alright, let's check the shock cord mount here. That's actually pretty dry. Okay, so if you're prepping this for flight, then before you put the parachute in, you want to put down 3 to 4 pieces of recovery wadding down in here. Do it one at a time. I'm not, but I will show you how to fold the parachute here. So if you ask 10 people how to fold a parachute, you'll probably get 10 answers. I'll go ahead and first of all attach the parachute. All right, my current favorite method of parachute folding is to fold the parachute in half in such a way that the vertices here all overlap. Okay, so I've got that folded in half, and down here my corners are all overlapping here. So I've got my center corners there. I'm going to take one side and its corners and overlap that. Alright, straighten it out, push it all down, and do the same thing with the other side. So now I'm going to fold that over so that its corners all overlap. Alright, now I'm going to pull on those shroud lines gently. Alright, I'm going to take all the shroud lines here. I'm going to find approximately a midpoint, and I'm going to put that midpoint up into my triangle here, like that. Alright, I'm going to take one side, fold it over, take the other side and fold it over, so now we've got a spike here. Take the pointy part of the spike, fold it down to have that, and now take each edge and roll it over, and just kind of roll that together till you get a nice long cylinder. Right, take your rocket, push the shock cord down. It doesn't have to be particularly neat, you just want it down there. Alright, follow that with the parachute, and this should slide in pretty easily at this point. Alright, and then the nose cone. And note, you don't want anything getting caught between the shoulder of the nose cone and the body tube. Alright, now I can see already that that's too loose. Alright, so if you take your rocket and shake it upside down like that, that should not happen. Now this can change depending on conditions, so you might want to check this the day that you launch and make sure that the temperature and humidity haven't changed things. Alright, so I'm going to take some masking tape here and just wrap that around. I usually start with 1/2 to 2/3 of the circumference, not necessarily going all the way around. Alright, now we'll try that again. Okay, now if I shake it, it's not coming out, but it's fairly easy to pull. Okay, and that's what we want. And then the last thing, if you are preparing for launch, the motor goes in here, and then that goes on over it. And the main thing to make sure of is that these little knurls here are not sticking up directly in front of the launch lug. So you want that, you want to put the launch lug in between 2 of those. Okay, and with that, that is our solar twirl. This whole thing took me about 1.5 hours with gluing and everything. I would recommend that after you get to this point, wait at least 1 hour before launching. Have a great launch and a safe recovery, and please stay tuned for more of my videos.